All right, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today it is time to look at all of the results from the Lille Regional Championships, which of course just wrapped up this past weekend, and we did see a pretty big shift, I would say, in the meta, where Dragapult Dusknoir had a very strong showing, winning the entire regional. And also just having a very good time in general. I mean, looking at it, there was a lot of them in ASIM. Dragapult Dusknoir dominated the tournament, and we're going to talk about all of that and all the decks and looking at all the stuff, the crazy things in day 2 here at Lille. There's another regional this upcoming weekend, so it's like back-to-back EU regionals. And then, of course, we do have Las Vegas coming up in a couple of weeks after that. So I'm pretty excited for the results here to talk about them and see what cool stuff popped up, any innovations were being made to any decks. We're going to look at all that in today's video. I'll leave a link to Limitless down below if you want to look at any of the decks for yourself. And if you're new here to the second channel, why not subscribe down below? It's completely free, and I'd greatly appreciate it. So, we did see Alexander here win with their Dragapult Dusknoir deck. I mean, like I said, this deck had a very good showing. I think it's mainly because Charizard won Milwaukee, so there was so much Charizard hype going into this tournament that Dragapult Dusknoir was just way more well-positioned than it's ever been. Because at the end of the day, Dragapult just hasn't been able to really win recently because of Gardevoir's dominance. Gardevoir has gate-kept Dragapult from winning a regional. I think the last time Dragapult won a regional was Vancouver? Like, it's been a while. So it was due for a win, and it needed the meta to shift a little bit for Guardy to drop a bit. And I'm not surprised to see it take the win. Of course, Lille's Determination being the big card here. It's a pretty standard list. 3 boss. Definitely pulls its weight in the mirror match. 2 Hilda, 4 Lily, 2 Jamming Tower, 1 Turo, being pretty staple. And we did see Alberto Conti in the finals here. Their list is playing 2 Brock Scouting and 2 Bosses Order, but still Lily in there. The 1 of Hilda, the 1 Turo, the usual stuff you'd see in the Poltnor deck are still present. But the Poltnor mirror match in the finals. But we had Piper in top 4 here with her Enzoark deck. Now, this build does kind of go back to the old school approach of playing Enzoark by playing it with Darmanitan. Zoark recently has not been playing Darmanitan. It's mostly been sticking to stuff like Cornerstone, Ogerpon. We've been seeing Crustle, like Toadskruel, more poison cards like Janine and Mining Mochi. But this build just sticks the Darmanitan back in the deck, saying that Darmanitan is still a very good card, and I would agree with that. I am a big fan of Darmanitan. It's actually really good in so many situations. It helps a lot against Sarah Legend Goldengo, but it's also mainly here for the Turbo Guardy matchup. Now that Guardy decks aren't as slow as they used to be with Jellicent, the matchup becomes a bit more scarier because Guardy can actually prize race you with Drifloon. But when you have the Darmanitan, you can kind of win the prize trade that way, which is really strong. So that was one of the reasons why Piper said she played the Darmanitan in the deck. But it's a pretty good Enzoark deck. It takes a lot of the good trades from the other builds. You got the Watchtower in there, the Loyal 3 package, the Okie Dogies in the deck as your cornerstone attacker, and then you got the Darmanitan, the Psyduck going in there to help against the Dragapult matchup. Good call this weekend considering there was so many Poltnors, and still goes with the Cyrano engine as opposed to playing Arven. So I like this build a lot. I think Enzoark is a very strong deck, and if you want to play an Enzoark build, I think Piper's build is pretty dang solid going into the next tournament. All right, we got a Terrabox deck here in top 4. Terrabox still looking pretty good. I mean, Wellspring Ogerpon is strong. Pikachu is good. This build is playing a Mega Mawile as one of the big late-game attackers here. With its main attack, there's 80 times, so pretty good upgrade to Terrabox. Probably the big addition in this build. There is another Terrabox build I think we're going to look at very soon that had more than just the Mawile, but the Mawile definitely is like the big addition to a more like vanilla approach to the deck. Another Polnar in top 8 here. This one's got the 3 boss, 2 Hilda also. And then we got Charizard in top 8. Now, this one did look like it was actually a bit different than Jackson's build, but it is playing at the Dusknoir and the Klefki and the Tassagiri, but also incorporates stuff like Mew EX into the deck as opposed to playing the Chi-Yu. So as you can see in this Charizard deck, there's no Chi-Yu and there's no like Ho-Oh. It's actually playing a Mew instead. The Mew is kind of interesting because you can use genome hacking in a lot of different scenarios, and genome hacking can also be your kind of way of dealing with Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon if you really need it. So it's a very interesting approach to playing Charizard as opposed to playing the Chi-Yu. The Mew does help, obviously, with drawing you cards in some scenarios. And then you do have the Seeker Box as the ace-spec as opposed to the Max Belt. And then 2 copies of Mesagoza to set up your board a little bit more. I mean, Mesagoza can turn into an evolution Pokemon if you flip heads. It's a bit risky, but when it does pay off, it does pay off. There's no Town Store or anything in this build, so it's a different approach. There's also a Budu in the deck to slow down the opponent, which you can like do more big plays with Dusknoir, I guess. We had Henry Brandon top 8 here with his Polnor deck too. Just a very good weekend for Polnor all around. We had Gabe Fernandez in top 8 also with his Zoark deck. Now, this one was different than Piper's because he just kind of stuck to the more like simplistic approach of just playing Reshi Ram and Monkey Dories. No Darmanitan, no Toadscruel. Does have Petron and Fez and Eviltal still in there. Also playing Hoopa EX. This is like one of the main cards right now I've been seeing a lot of people talk about is Hoopa. Hoopa is really good against Mega Kangaskhan Absol because it attacks Cornerstone if you needed a Cornerstone counter. But if the Kangaskhan deck puts too many energy in play, you can one-shot the Mega Kangaskhan with Energy Crush. So this card has actually been popping up a little bit more now recently leading up to this tournament. So I'm not surprised to see somebody bring it in their Zoark deck. I've tried Hoopa and Zoark before. Like a while ago. I got second place at Elite Challenge with this Hoopa in Zoark. It's actually really good. It comes up in a lot of scenarios. It also is not bad against Iron Hands, which is like one of Zoark's main weaknesses. Also, decided to play a Klefki in his build here, which is interesting to see. I'm not sure what the Klefki's for. I guess it's there to like slow down Terra Box and stuff, so they're not able to like have like an insane turn against you. I'm assuming that's what it is for. I'm not too sure what the Klefki's for, but it's interesting nonetheless. Maybe it's there for like Monkey Dory mirror matches. You go like Monkey, and then you push Klefki, and then you pass, and then you go back into like Monkey or something. I guess that's maybe the idea there. All right. Another Polnor in ASIM. By the way, ASIM was 16 players. The entire top 16 was asymmetrical cut. In fact, the 17th place person, Drew here, bubbled out of ASIM. So they technically would have got ASIM if it didn't cap at 16, which was kind of ridiculous in actuality. This is the biggest asymmetrical cut we've ever seen. We did have a Goldango Solrock in ASIM. What's interesting about this build is it's not playing the Lucario or anything, or another big attacker that we'll look at in just a minute. There's another new Goldango partner we will look at. But yeah, it was a Goldango Rocks deck. The one new card was the Erica's Invitation, which we've actually been seeing a lot more of in Goldango in Japan, because it's how you beat the Mega decks. Like, if they push a Cornerstone against you, you can go Erica, and you can actually force a Kangaskhan or an Absol out of their hand and into the active spot, and you can knock it out. Erica's a sneakily good card in this deck, mainly, again, just really good against the Kangaskhan Absol deck. And one Dango Rocks was in ASIM. We had a Flareon also make ASIM here. It was Flareon Pidgeot with the Hoopa EX. So that Hoopa EX really finding its home in some of these decks this weekend, having a good weekend. So if you're a Hoopa enjoyer, Hoopa EX had a pretty good weekend all around, I would say, for sure. And we have another Terra Box in top 16. And this one also played Hoopa, but this one was the Mega Evolution approach. This is Carter, who played the similar list to the Milwaukee Regionals. I think they top 32 to that also, if I remember correctly. So this build definitely is an interesting approach to Terra Box. It's slightly different because you have more going on. You have the poison stuff in the deck with the Petron, or the dark stuff, sorry, with the Petron. You have Mega Absol, Hoopa, Kangaskhan. There's more going on, but still a very strong approach to playing Terra Box, in my opinion. And obviously, more dark Pokemon is better against Guardy. The highest placing Gardevoir this weekend was a Gardevoir Jellicent deck. Not surprised to see that, though I do think that like the Turbo Guardy was probably going to be more popular, but at least one Guardy Jelly made ASIM. Gardevoir definitely did have a bit of an undershowing this weekend, considering how good Dragapult was. It's weird to see Guardy flop, but yeah, Dragapult did so well. Gardevoir just didn't do as well this weekend, which is a little crazy to see in all honesty. But Guardy is still good. I think Guardy is going to be even better for the next regionals just because of how good Dragapult was this weekend. Another Terra Box made top 16. This one was a very like straightforward approach. There's a Tool Scrapper in the deck. It's one big difference. But no like insane extra big attackers. Just keeping it kind of simple with your main lineup of Pokemon. But still a pretty solid Terra Box 60 nonetheless. And we had another Dragapult here in top 16. This one had a 1/1 Dusclops line as opposed to the Dusknoir line. It's not really even, like, I guess it is more like a straight pull build. Not really, though. There's two monkeys, though, so tries to lean a little bit more into the Monkey Dories. And then we had one last Guardy Jelly in ASIM. This one was playing Mega Gardevoir EX in deck to have a little bit more late-game firepower potential. I think Mega Gardevoir is just really good right now in Guardy. Like, if I was playing Guardy, I'd be playing a Mega Gardevoir in the deck. And that was the asymmetrical cut. But again, Drew was unfortunately bubbled out, even though technically he was in ASIM because he had the same amount of points as the 16th place person. He was also playing Dango Rocks, but his build had a Mega Mawile. So as opposed to playing Mega Lucario, they opted for Mega Mawile instead of the Lucario. Also playing the Turbo Energize in the deck as a way to build up the Mawile. Playing the Petrol 2 Taro 4 boss. This build is kind of modeled off of the Rev of Room build, which I think Drew top 8'd the last EU Regionals with the Rev of Room build of Goldango. So this build is kind of being carried over in the form of the Soul Rock Lunatone engine, which kind of does the Fan Rotom Rev of Room thing like all in one, with the Lunatone and the Soul Rock kind of being similar-ish cards. So it's an interesting approach. And the Mawile does give you an attacker against Cornerstone, an extra attacker in general. And yeah, Mawile had a decent showing this weekend at this tournament. We got a bunch of Guardies here to look at. We got one Guardie here playing the Drifloon. Again, Drifloon definitely was going to be more popular. Then we have the Guardie with the Drifloon and the Mega Guardie. The Cleffa. This is apparently Tord's build, from what I heard. We see Rune here, who did win, obviously, the last regional in the EU region, was playing at this build, which I'm pretty sure this is what Tord had for his Guardie build going into this weekend, from what I heard. Another Guardie here, played by Julius, who's playing it also with the Drifloon. And then finally, we have one last Guardie here, also playing the Drifloon and the Mega Guardie. A bit different, though, than the Tord build, but it looks similar-ish. Another Poldner played by Kyle Connor here. Just, again, Poldner having a really good weekend all around. We had a Crustle make top 32. Interesting to see Crustle in top 32, but again, it can sneak its way in there. It hits the right matchups, dodges Guardie, which again, Guardie didn't do as well this weekend as it normally does, which I guess was a good thing for Crustle. Crustle's a little bit more better into Poldner than it is into Gardevoir, obviously. Gardevoir is way worse for Crustle than Poldner is. Speaking of Poldner, we get another one below it. All right. Then we got another Gardevoir here. This one is playing the Drifloon in there. And then we got another Dengo Soul Rock. This one also incorporating the Erica's Invitation and has Cramorant. The Hops Cramorant is definitely interesting. But yeah, it does have the Erica in there, as you can see. Some cool stuff. All right. Moving on, we can go to the first Mega Kangaskhan Absol deck here, which made top 32. So this deck did fall off quite hard this weekend. We didn't see much Mega Kangaskhan Absol do that well. One in top 32 definitely is kind of crazy to see this deck fall off a little bit. This build does have a little bit more of a control element to it. We see 2 Eerie in there, a Zero-6 Machinations, and an Enhanced Hammer, and a TM Devo. So it's trying to be a lot more disruptive. And I did feel like going into this tournament, Mega Kangaskhan Absol did have to adapt a little bit to the format. I do like the idea of Devo in Mega Kangaskhan Absol. Like, if I was playing Mega Kangaskhan Absol this weekend, I would have most likely also played a Devo in the deck. The Devo, I think, is really cool. But yeah, definitely the deck had to adapt. Only one in top 32. I think it was only one. But either way, like, the highest placing one made top 32. Yeah, only one in top 32 is crazy now that I look at it. Yeah. So the deck definitely fell off a little bit, which I'm not surprised to see happen. Just because the cat was out of the bag, but still kind of crazy to see nonetheless. But definitely the control elements helped it a lot. We had one Raging Bolt in top 32 here with that Wellspring Ogre Pawn, so tries to be more of like a Terra Toolbox deck now with the addition of the Wellspring in the deck to get a little bit more bench snipe potential. You have the Baby Bolt, and then you got the Wellspring, so you have a lot of annoying bench sniping potential there. Another Guardie here. This one did play the Enamorous and the Iron Bundle, kind of similar to what we saw Henry Chow play and a Bond play in Milwaukee. And we had our high spacing Grim in top 32. Grim felt like an okay play for the tournament. It might be a little bit better going forward if we do see more Charizard, Gardevoir, and Poltnor. This deck does beat those. One cool thing in this build, there's actually a Mist Energy in the deck to help against Devos and Confusion. So I actually don't hate the idea of playing Mist Energy in Grimmsnarl right now. It doesn't seem like a bad idea. Also, of course, this Tenacity is interesting. I guess that does make sense because you can find Spike Myth and Mist Energy, which is actually pretty good. You can turn your Secret Box. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea, actually. I don't hate it. Chorus with Mist Energy is a cool concept in Grimmsnarl. We have Vini here, same 60 as Gabriel in the top 32 with Zoark. And then we had another Guardian top 32 with the Mega Guardie and the Drifloon in there. And then outside the top 32, we had another Terra box. This one was playing one Mega Kangaskhan, had a Jamming Tower in there, but no Mawile, no Absol, or anything crazy like that. But the Kangaskhan's really cool. I do like Kangaskhan. If I was playing Terra box, I'd also probably be looking into playing one Kangaskhan. Seems pretty good in the deck right now. What else do we got here? We got another Gardevoir. If it wants to load. There we go. Apologize for that. But yeah, we got another Guardie here. This one did have a Drifloon, Mega Guardie, Cleffa. Yeah, same 60 as what everyone else was playing there. With the I guess, like, the Tord approach to Gardevoir is what it was called. Yeah, a lot of Drifloon. Just Drifloon makes sense this weekend for sure. We had another Flareon here in top 64, played by Katie, who I think this was her first like, big placement in a regional, so congrats to her. She had a Petron in the deck, which is nice. You have the Fez, so you can kind of, like, get out of any retreat lock. Had the bird in there, the Pidgeot EX, Black Belts training Hilda. A lot of supporters, actually. Black Belt Kieran, Hilda, Briar, Cyrano, a lot of one-ofs. Cool stuff, cool stuff. And then we got a Frostas Monkey Dory control deck played by Sander. So I did a video on this deck today on the main channel. If you want to see this deck in action, check out the main channel's latest video today. But yeah, Sander did play this control spread deck to Lille. He bubbled out a top 32, he said, on Twitter. And yeah, I mean, this deck's really nice. I think it's decent. Is it better than Grimmsnarl, though, is the question. I'm not sure. The Tinglu is there to help against Guardy. That is like one of your main answers to Guardy. You have the Crushing Hammers, too, which is really good at removing dark energy off the board. Yeah, overall, it's a pretty cool little deck. And if you want to see some action with it on the main channel, definitely check out the channel's latest vid. I got another Poltnor here. Okay, nothing crazy. We have a Django doing well. This one's kind of wild. We have a Steelix and an Onyx. So what do these two cards do? This might be the first limitless page for both these two cards. So I'm assuming they're playing it for the Steelix. What does the Steelix do? I gotta see this. For Mega Evolution, if you have exactly 6 prizes remaining, you can do 240 damage. Whoa. Interesting. I mean, I guess it's just there as like a really strong early game attacker you can build up with Joltik. Also, it can attack Cornerstone. It can attack Crustle, which I think is very important. Very interesting inclusion. Huh. That's cool. I mean, it's the highest placing Django. It's got Precious Trolley as a spec 2 over Prime Catcher. That Steelix idea is kind of crazy. That's really interesting, actually. I didn't even know that Steelix existed. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, now I want to do a video on it. Now that I know it exists, that's crazy. We have a control here played by Caterpie, Alessandro playing it in the Pidgeot control deck. Well, the control cards, even playing a Golduck to help against the Klefkis and stuff for your Psyduck. There's Tinglu in there, Chi-Yu, the Milotic line, Kangaskhan. Iron Leaves is interesting. I'm assuming it's just there for its ability. Just play some Prism Energies, though, so I guess it can come up in a few other scenarios. Another Gardevoir here with the Enamorus in the bundle. Another Poltnor. Another Pidgeot control played by Nathan Ginsberg, who did play it to Milwaukee. This time he played it again. Was, again, playing the Kangaskhan and the Mega Absol in the deck, alongside having all the little guys with the Turtonator, the Sudowoodo, Psyduck, Dedenne, Frillish, Elgyem, all that stuff. And the Heroes Cape as a spec. Let's see here. Another Gardevoir with Drifloon. And then below, we got another Zoroark deck here, played by Julian, who was playing the same 60th Piper with the Darmanitan and stuff. 2 Canadians back-to-back, Adam and Julian. Sick stuff. All right. Another Guardy with the Drifloon in there. We got another Poltnor. Yeah, all the Poltnor lists looking the same. No surprise there. Another Guardy. This one also has Drifloon and Frillish in the deck. And we got a Crustle with the Mega Absol in there. So a little bit more going on. We got a Mega Absol in the deck. Petron, Eviltal. So still trying to be like a wall deck, but just incorporating the Mega Absol to help a little bit against Guardian stuff, which is cool to see. See the innovation there. It's kind of sick. So maybe there's something to the Mega Absol. We have a Roaring Moon here in top 64. I'm not surprised to see this deck actually have a decent placement. This deck actually, if it wants to load here, actually, Roaring Moon, yeah, there's a Poison Moon build. Definitely looks like Poison Moon was primed to have a decent run, especially because it's not bad at a Guardy, and it's actually pretty solid in a Mega Kangaskhan Absol. So I'm not surprised to see it actually have a decent performance here. It's playing the Sableye here, which can do 90 if your opponent's active is affected by a special condition. Huh, cool stuff. It's got the Enhanced Hammer in there to remove Mist Energy, so you can KO stuff. We had an Alakazam in top 64. Oh my goodness. Alakazam is here, man. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's cool to see Alakazam in top 64. The deck's cool. It's a fun one-prize deck. It's crazy how the deck actually did well in a field full of Poltnors, but I guess Poltnor is a better matchup than Gardevoir is, because you at least have Psyduck in the deck. And, like, against Guardy, you don't really have any, like, protection. So, that's interesting. We have another cool deck here. We have a Lucario Hariyama deck in top 64. Cool to see this deck do well in this tournament. I mean, Mega Lucario, honestly, wasn't terrible this tournament. If there was going to be less Guardy, honestly, wasn't a bad time to play Mega Lucario, for sure. If, like, less Guardy's being played, why not, right? Speaking of which, we have another Guardy here with the Drifloon Screamtail, my Guardy stuff. We have another Grimmsnarl here with a Budew, Shaman Eviltal, and then we have another Poltnor here, and we have another Raging Bolt. And then, yeah, the second placing highest Charizard is in top 64. So Charizard definitely underperformed this weekend. There was one in top 8, but Zard definitely dipped a little bit. And then it's just mostly because there's so much Dragon Bolt Dusknoir. But yeah, we do see a build here with the Secret Box and whatnot. It's a little similar to the Jackson build we saw win Milwaukee, but just has Secret Box. Has a Blood Moon in there, too, as an extra late game attacker, which I actually don't hate the idea of. We had Sarah Legend top 64. Sarah Ledge had a bit of a down tick, too. Interesting to see that happen. I think Sarah Ledge actually wasn't the worst deck for this regional, but it was one in top 64. I think it was kind of popular day one, too. I'll maybe look into that after. What is this? Oh, Iron Hands Magneton. Okay, so it's a Magneton Iron Hands deck. That's interesting. Just a Magneton Lightning Generator Toolbox deck. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Miraidon having a good run. I was like kind of confused what this was at first. Though, funny enough, this deck would probably get bodied by Psyduck. But it is cool to see one in top 64 regardless. And we had another Mega Kangaskhan Absol playing the double Eerie and the Devo in there. Another Pidgeot Charizard here with a Gouging Fire. I don't hate the idea of Gouging Fire in the deck. Also, going back to the Max Belt CA spec. Then we had another Gardevoir with the Drifloon. And we had a Pulsar in top 64 with an Iron Leaf. So I did see this list on Twitter. So the Iron Leaves is kind of just here for like any of like the dark Pokemon. Obviously, really good into the Mirror against Charizard and good into Grimmsnarl. Basically, if you don't know what this Iron Leaves does, I'll click on it here real quick. It's got the attack Avenging Edge. If any of your Pokemon are knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's next turn, you do 160 damage in total. Actually, you don't one-shot Charizard. You one-shot Grimmsnarl, though. And I guess you can maybe get there with, like, excess damage from, like, Phantom Dive or something. You have Max Belt. I think it's A-Spec in this build. Iron Leaves is a really cool idea. Because you already play 4 Luminous Energy, and you can Charizard 2 energy onto it and pull 1 on Charizard, attach to it later. So, really cool idea there for sure. Another Grimm making top 64. This one has Maractus and Tatsugiri. And then we got another Charizard here in the top 64. This one did play the Klefki and the Ho-Oh for the Cornerstone. All right, so that was the top 64 here of Lille. Outside of the top 64, we had another Flareon also playing the Hoop and the Pidgeot. This actually might be very similar 60 to what we saw earlier, it looks like. And we got yet another Grimmsnarl here. This one also using Maractus and Enhanced Hammer. In that. All right, cool. Alrighty then. Let's see what else we got here if it wants to load. All right, so we got Joltik Box here. Kind of a underperformance for Joltik Box. I didn't think it was like the worst deck for this tournament, but I guess like the Kangaskhan Absol deck was on the decline a little bit, which was not great for the deck. Which probably played a role in Joltik Box not doing as well because it wasn't the worst deck for the tournament. If there was going to be more Kanga Absol. Another Polnor. Below that, we got another Terra Box with a Monkey Dory in it. I don't hate the idea of Monkey Dory and Terra Box. Definitely has its applications. All right. We have a Conkeldurr here. We'll skip over the Polnor. It's just so many Polnor decks probably like look the same. Yeah, it's more of this stuff. We'll just kind of scroll through some of the decks now to see if anything cool popped up. But we did have a Conkeldurr here in day 2. I mean, still, Conkeldurr warriors are out there. People love their Conkeldurr. It's not even that bad right now as a one-prize deck. Is it the best one-prize deck over Alakazam? I don't know, but it is cool to see the deck still have some performances. Got another Charizard here. This one did play Gouging Fire and Chi-Yu. Okay, wow, it's got everything in there. Gouging Fire, Chi-Yu, and fit the Klefki. And then we got 3 Raging Bolt decks in a row here. See if any of them had the Wellspring in there. Yep, there's one with the Wellspring. Had a Budew, too. Then we got another Raging Bolt here with no Wellspring. We got another Ceruledge. Nothing crazy there. Another Guardy Jelly. Ooh, and then, okay, here we go. So I was waiting to see if we would see this deck do well. So this was the Blood Moon Monkey Dory deck. This is like the Tim Danklin deck that he's popularized. The idea of the deck is you use Blood Moon with the Calamitous Snowy Mountain, put a bunch of damage on the Blood Moon, and then use Adrenal Brain to move all the damage off in one shot with Big Bite. This deck is a cool one-prize deck. I was waiting to see if it would make day 2 here at Lille, and we do see one make day 2. It's a cool little one-prize deck. Playing the Trachean, which is, I guess, like the counter for Cornerstone. Because this deck does lose to Cornerstone Ogerpon, but you do have the Blood Moon in there. And, well, you have the Soul Rock and the Trachean. Got another Zoroark here, playing the Hoopa, and playing Team Rocket's Mimikyu with a Rocket Energy. That's a cool idea, actually. Very cool. I guess it's, like, there to, like, copy Charizard in the late game and stuff. That's nice. I definitely don't hate it, for sure. See what this Charizard Pidgeot list looks like. If it wants to load here. Today, there we go. I apologize for it being slow. This one also playing Gouging Fire. So Gouging Fire had a pretty good showing at Charizard this weekend. Another Mega Kangaskhan Absol. This one did play the Eerie and the Xerosic and had the Devo in there. So taking the upgrades, I guess. And we got another Grimm. Another Alakazam making day 2. Look at that. Another Owlet. And this one did play Golduck and Psyduck. So it's really trying to tech for Polnor. I don't hate the idea of that. I mean, if you want to really beat Polnor, playing double Psyduck and a Golduck honestly does give you the best chance of beating Polnor. So that's pretty cool to see. That's pretty funny, not gonna lie. Then we got Joltik Box with a Mega Mawile on the deck. Ooh. Okay, I actually don't hate the idea of playing Mega Mawile and Joltik Box as like a big late game attacker. So you have Bear and Mawile. I definitely don't hate it. Doesn't seem like a bad idea, actually. Cool idea. The Mega Mawile having a good showing. Got another Dengo Rocks. This one does have the Mega Lucario. And the Mega Kangaskhan Absol here. It's kind of the straightforward approach. And then we got another Goldengo Rocks also playing Mega Lucario in the deck. A couple more Guardy Jellies. We got another Crustle. Crustle Iron Thorns. All right, so this one did have the Iron Thorns in the deck to slow down the opponent and be disruptive with initialization. Then you got the Crustles in there to be more annoying. Well, look at the Charizards here. This one's got the Ho-Oh in there. And then this one also play Ho-Oh. No, plays Gouging Fire once again. All right. We got a bunch of Guardies here. We'll look at some of them. Got the Mega Guardy with the Drifloon. Another Mega Guardy with Drifloon. And then finally, another one here just with Drifloon. All right. Kangaskhan Absols. One did have the Zrosek and the Erie, so yeah, it looks like that was kind of the big technology this weekend. A couple more Dengo Rocks here. Look at these real quick. Both had Lucario in them. Another Kangaskhan Absol. Playing the Hoopa in the deck. All right, so trying to be aggressive in the mirror with the Hoopa. I don't hate the idea of playing Hoopa in Kanga Absol. And then we had a Hydreigon in day 2. Yo, is it the Teal Mask build? What do we got here? It is the Teal Mask build. It's the Terra Teal Mask Noctowl Hydreigon deck. Really cool stuff. There's a lot more going on. We have a Cornerstone Ogerpon in the deck here, and we have the Hoopa EX also being put into the deck. Really cool stuff. Yeah, this Terra Hydreigon deck is pretty sick, so happy to see at least one make day 2. This actually might be the deck's first day 2, I think. That's cool. I like this deck a lot. Really fun stuff. Another Raging Bolt here. This one had a Mega Kangaskhan in it. No Owls, though, so it was an Owlless Raging Bolt. I had an unfair stamp as a spec. That's kind of crazy. All right. You know, the Charizard here in day 2 with the Mew EX. It was Oiven playing it, right? Yeah, it was Oiven's Charizard deck. All right, cool. Yeah, Mew EX and Charizard's interesting. It gives you a bit of extra draw with Restart in some scenarios, and it does count as like your wall breaker attacker, technically, right? Dengo Rocks with the Lucario. Then we had another Blood Moon Monkey deck playing the Mega Absol in there, too. So interesting to have an extra attacker. And again, it would help a lot against Cornerstone, obviously. So seems like a decent idea. And if you're already playing the Monkey in the Snowy Mountain, why not play the Absol, right? I actually don't hate the idea of that. Seems decent. We had a Typhlosion make day 2 here with Charizard in the deck. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen this before in Japan. The Typhlosion Charizard deck idea is kind of neat, because Charizard doesn't really give you a whole lot of, like, draw, but it does give you an extra attacker. Also gives you a Dark Pokemon to give you a little bit more of an edge versus Gardevoir, which I actually don't hate the idea of playing Charizard in Typhlosion. It's not a bad concept for sure. So cool to see at least one make day 2 here. Definitely a cool concept for sure. And we got a Lucario Hariyama deck once again in day 2. Nice to see that. Let's see this Crustle build. All right, it's like Crustle with the Sudowoodo. Another Pidgeot Control making day 2 with the Kangaskhan, the Tinglu, the Golduck and Psyduck in there. Another Alakazam in day 2 here. All right, and another Conkeldurr make day 2. This one did not play Pidgeot, though. All right, another Dengo Rocks playing the Mega Lucario. Got Grimmsnarl here with the Psyduck and the Budew. A couple more Dengo Rocks here. This one did play the Mega Mawile. And we got another one here. This one played the Mega Lucario instead. Alrighty then. Ooh, we had a Dragapult Blaziken make day 2. Alright, cool deck. Instead of playing the Petron, opted to play the Yveltal. Also has Mega Absol, which I guess you can actually pull off some pretty big plays here with Absol and Blaziken. I actually don't hate that. Blaziken Absol with Dragapult doesn't seem like a bad deck idea, actually, because you already have the Monkey Dories in there. You can build up Absol in a single turn pretty easily with Blaziken's ability. Honestly, not a bad idea. Lily's Determination might make this deck a lot more consistent, too. And you have the Yveltal over the Petron, which I'm sure they're both pretty good, but Yveltal probably seems a little bit stronger. Yeah, I like this, actually. This is a really cool approach to the Dragapult Blaziken deck. I love seeing the innovations being made. Another Charizard Pidgeot above it. This one had the Chiyu in there only. Another Charizard here. One had Gouging Fire in it. Let's see. Got Conkeldurr here. Once again, no Pidgeot. Another Zard Pidgeot playing the Ho-Oh. A couple more Sarah Ledges we can look at real quick. This one had Judge in it, and then this one also played the Judge and the Drillbur. And the Secret Box actually was A-Spec. And Kangaskhan Absol. More straightforward approach. Alrighty then. Another Alakazam to Duns in day 2 with the Togekiss. I love it. Yeah, this Togekiss pretty sick. I definitely got to revisit Alakazam. I got Wonder Patch. Now that Wonder Patch is out on live in the Diancie deck, you can play the Wonder Patch now in Alakazam, which is better than playing the EXP share, so that's pretty cool. And that's pretty cool. All right. Bunch of Dengo rocks here we can look at real quick. One's got the Lucario in there. Prime Catcher C Ace spec. I'm trying to see if there's anything else crazy in there. We got another Mega Kangaskhan Absol. This one also playing the Erie Zero Sick Devo. And yeah, that seemed to be very common in the Kangaskhan Absol. This one had the Mawile in it. This one did also play the Mawile, so we had a couple playing the Mawile. And this one played in the Mega Lucario. Alrighty then. Another Dengo rocks here, also playing Mega Lucario. And this Raging Bolt here did not play Wellspring, but did have the Owls. Alrighty then. Another Crustle. What does this one got? It's got the Wall, the Sudowoodo, and the Shuckle engine. Alright. Got Grimmsnarl once again. This one had Psyduck in it. We got another Terra box with the Flareon engine. Alright, so this is like the Alex Szymanski build with the Leafeon and the Flareon package, which still pulls its weight in the deck overall. This is like the one cool thing with Terra box. There's a lot of different ways you can build a Terra box deck, right? Another Typhlosion making day 2. This one does have Pidgeot in the deck. That's the engine in there. Cool stuff. Another Dengo rocks with the Lucario. Another Control making day 2 with the Kangaskhan and the Absol. The Sudowoodo, the Turtonator still in there and stuff. Another Joltik box. What about this one? This one's got Magneton in the build. Nice. And Jamming Tower. It's cool to see. Charizard Pidgeot. What do we got here? We got the Chiyu still in there. Sarah Ledge. Giga Absol. This one's got Hoopa. So yeah, everyone was on that Hoopa train this weekend. Like I said, Hoopa had a good weekend. Alright, let's see what's in this Terra box deck here. Nothing too crazy. It does have a Judge. I don't hate it. Judge Fan Rotom. It's kind of strong. Or even Judge Wellspring if you ever pull that off. It's pretty good. Got Sarah Ledge. Doing pretty good. Another Grim. Kanka Absol. What about this one? Also playing the Hoopa. Yeah, a lot of Hoopa, man. A lot of Hoopa this weekend. Got Dengo Rocks. Just with the Baby Goldengo and the Erica's Invitation. Another Joltik box with the Baby Genesect. Another Charizard with the Ho-Oh in there. We got another Flareon Noctowl here with the Pidgeot as the engine. Alright, cool stuff. Alright, let's scroll down a little bit more, see what else there is. Since we are, like, there's so many decks still to look at. We're, like, just over halfway up through the day 2. Terra box with Mawile. Sick stuff. Let's wait for this to load. There we go. Wants to load? There we go. Alright. Yeah, we'll scroll down to see anything crazy pops up. We got a Walls in day 2. Alright, we see a couple of decks here we can look at. Wants to load. There we go. What's this? Walls. It's going to load. There we go. Alright, yeah, we got Walls in day 2 with the Farigiraf and the Crustle and the Monkey Dories and the Fan Rotom to find your giraffes. Alright, cool little wall deck here. I mean, Walls doesn't seem terrible. I mean, there's a reason why the Kangaskhan deck is doing well, because it's kind of-ish like a wall deck in a way with the Kangaskhan, with the Absol, the Cornerstone Ogre Pawn, the Monkeys. It's a similar-ish concept. This one just goes all in on the walls. You're trying to wall off your opponent with either Crustle, Cornerstone, or the Farigiraf. And the Farigiraf does help a bit into Guardy because you have a Dark Attacker to work with. We had the Greninja deck in day 2 here. The Greninja Dusknoir Grand Tree Ignition Energy deck in day 2. Maybe it got a bit better with Lily. It's got Klefki in there. You got to play Klefki, though, for Psyduck, obviously, because Psyduck would really hurt this deck. But it's cool to see the Greninja deck in the day 2 again. We had another Kangaskhan tank deck here. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not surprised to see it not do as well as it did the weekend before, because I felt like the deck was a little bit stronger for Milwaukee, but it's still a strong deck regardless. I still like the idea of the tank Kangaskhan deck. It just struggles a lot against Polnar if you don't play Psyduck, obviously, because they can just wipe out your Buffalons and stuff, and it gets really tough to deal with, that matchup. What else do we got here? Anything crazy? We had a Miraidon Eels in day 2 with Mega Manectric. I like it. Mega Manectric's pretty strong right now. Playing Max Bell, too, as the A-Spec to just try to ramp as much damage as you can. Don't hate it. It's cool stuff. Yeah, the Mega Manectric deck's pretty sick to see. Happy to still see the Mega Man making day 2. So another Flareon here with the 1 prize Chiyu. This guy, if there's a stadium in play, discard it and do 120 damage. Nice. Cool stuff. All right. What else we got? Some Charizards. Anything else cool that stands out? Crustle? What's this Crustle got? It's got the Psyduck and the Golduck in there. All right. What else do we got here? More Grim, Charizard, Terra box. We got Pulsard. My goat, Pulsard. This one had, if it wants to load... There we go. All right. This one's got Dusknoirs in there. I've thought about adding Dusknoir to Pulsar too for the upcoming format. I don't hate it. Seems okay. But you think you have to like trim down the Charizard line, which I'm not a fan of. But I do like the idea of playing Dusknoir and Charizard and Pulsar right now. It's not a bad idea. Something I've tried a little bit of. Another Blood Moon Rocks deck here with the Maractus making day 2. What else do we got? The Kangaskhan Buffalon deck in day 2 here. The Cornerstone, the Monkeys and stuff. All right, cool. Another Mega Lucario deck made day 2. This one, got Hero's Cape as spec to make a very thick Lucario. A 440 HP Mega Lucario at that. Kind of sick. can be pretty threatening, I guess, if you can't one-shot it. You have the 2 Turos in there for healing also, to make it harder to deal with the Lucarios. Keep them alive as long as possible. Typhlosion making day 2, just with Tasigiri as the engine in that one. It's kind of crazy. Like, nobody... I feel like it's cool to see Typhlosion still make day 2, but I feel like the deck has just really fallen off since the Mega Evolution format started. Just haven't been seeing as much Typhlosion as we used to be seeing, which is kind of crazy. Got Django here in day 2. That's pretty cool. We got a Meganium Teal Mass deck making day 2 here with the Energy Switch Engine, the Tapu Bulu in there, the Regigigas, the non-Mega Venusaur approach. Will we see a Mega Venusaur in day 2 at Lille? Place your bets, folks. We don't have as many decks to look at, so we'll see not that many more to look at, so who knows if a Mega Venusaur made day 2. Okay, well, my question has officially been answered. A Mega Venusaur deck made day 2, but this one is pretty wild. It's a Mega Venusaur deck with Teal Mask Ogerpon, Kangaskhan's, Gigas, Hands, and Pikachu EX. Okay, this one has everything in it. Okay, that's pretty crazy, actually. I don't hate the idea of it. I mean, you can move energy around. You have Iron Hands, which you can build up pretty easily with, like, Teal Dance and stuff. The Kangaskhan's for the extra bit of draw. This is a very interesting approach to the Mega Venusaur deck. You can attack with Pikachu, I guess. You can never build it up. I thought there was going to be a Joltik in there at first. Like, when I saw the energy types, I'm like, wait, is there a Joltik in there? Oh, that's cool, though. Nice stuff. All right, so there was one Mega Venusaur in day 2. Look at that. What about this Crustle deck? Crustle Thorns once again. Joltik box making day 2 here. All right. What else do we got? Got the Flareon Noctowl deck playing the Pidgeot and the Hoopa technology in there. Another Blood Moon Rock deck with the 1/1 Mega Lucario. Mega Alakazam once again playing a couple Zatches in the deck for extra draw and energy acceleration. I like it. All right, bunch of Cerulege. Another Mega Alakazam making day 2 here. Cool stuff. Had Legacy Energy as a spec. Dingo Rocks. Another Crustle. What's this Crustle got? Got the Widow and the Shuckle Engine. All right, what else? Another Typhlosion making day 2. Also playing Pidgeot. And we had a Garchomp in day 2. Surprised to only see one Garchomp in day 2, but I don't know. The deck's pretty cool. It's got the Psyduck in there, the triple Rose Raid. Yeah, I like it. I like Garchomp. I think Garchomp's a pretty solid deck right now. Would have been a little bit better probably in Milwaukee with the Kanga Absol deck going around, but I think Garchomp is still like a solid deck overall. Still pretty good. They also had the Archaudon deck in day 2 with Steelix. So there were 2 different Steelixes in day 2. I was not expecting that on my bingo card today in Lille. But yeah, 2 Steelixes made day 2. This one has the Earthquake Steelix, which push damage on your bench, so you can push it back with Monkey. It's an interesting concept. All right, I like it. And that was the entirety of the day 2 of the Lille Regionals. So the big standout, obviously, Dragapult Dusknoir had a very good weekend. Gardevoir underperformed a little bit from what it's been used to. I mean, there was still a couple in ASIM, but I mean, at the end of the day, like Gardevoir, obviously not being in the top 8 itself is kind of wild to see. For the first time in quite a while, actually, that's happened. We saw some Zoroark do well. Charizard obviously underperformed a little bit too. No surprise there. Just really good weekend for Dragapult Dusknoir. The Kanga Absol deck obviously also underperforming a little bit from its big showing in Milwaukee. We'll have to see how there's also looking into the next regional, which I think the next regional is, Stuttgart or something, or Gdansk. See if we can look at the Limitless Labs real quick. Look at the statistics here. So we can look at the conversion. Where's the graphic? There's like a way to find the graphic. I forget how to find it. How do I find the graphic on here? I'm not too sure. Pairings, no. Standings, that's not it. Not sure. I know there's a way you can, like, view the day 1 graphic and stuff. I can't seem to... Oh, there we go. It's at the bottom. All right, there we go. Yeah, so Phase 1, Gardevoir was the most played deck, as you can see. Then we had Dango Rocks, second most played. Charizard also tied for second. Cerulege. Polnor was only 7% of the day 1 meta. And we had Grim in there. Kanga Absol barely making it onto, barely missing out on the day 1 graphic, and we had all the other like stuff. Crustle making it on is kind of crazy to see. And then in day 2, there was still a lot of Gardevoir, but we did see Gardevoir not do as well. So it's interesting to see how Gardy was the most played deck in day 1 and day 2, yet Polnor was the deck that ultimately dominated. They're 12% Polnor in day 2. A lot of Dengo too. cool stuff. And then, yeah, phase 2 conversion rate. That's pretty cool stuff. So, yeah, interesting. I mean, I think we'll see Poltnor probably start to get a bit more countered going into Gdansk. I think Poltnor did have a good run this weekend. This was probably the one time we're going to see Poltnor have a really good run. I think we're going to see Gardy back to dominating. Gardevoir will probably win Gdansk or something like that, now that Dragapult just did so well. So we'll have to see on that one. But that'll be for me on today's video. Hope you enjoyed. I'll leave a link to Limos down below if you want to go check out any of the decks here for yourself and build any of them and whatnot. Catch you on another video very soon. Bye-bye.